Hello everybody, this is George Chappé from Budapest.
And hello again, this is Kjell Borking, Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay, last time we were talking about decision, the problematic things of decision making, and we talked about Daniel Kahneman's Nobel Prize a little bit, but all in all we tried to figure out where your passion is coming from when we talk about making quicker and better decisions.
Correct.
But I think.
But you also had a task. Do you remember that from the last time?
Yeah, that was some calculation, wasn't it?
Something. Yes. Did you manage to, or did you cheat?
Yeah, I think I cheated.
Because I actually asked you 33 times 49, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that is 1,617 probably.
I think that is correct. But then you need to have a process to calculate, particularly in your head. I think in my generation we did some sort of head calculation. I think that's gone more or less nowadays. But still, this was just to demonstrate the difference there between System 1 and System 2. And now we will dig in a little bit deeper into this subject. And we will be talking, continue to talk about this, how this System 1 could lure us. And I think a very typical example is I'm annoyed on myself every time I go into the store and I see these red price tags. And this make me to buy things that I don't need. And I think it's so stupid every time, because you know that a goods had a price and then they lowered the price. That means that it is a new price. That is the price of the product, nothing else. And I should evaluate the value of the product based on that price, not on the price it had before. But this is a typical example how business is using our System 1 in order to sell more.
Of course, retail and manipulating human decisions is an old tradition of the humankind, I guess. It's nothing modern. It's nothing new. It has always been like that. We try to manipulate the others through probably. Instinctively it was not well thought out before, but everybody knew that in a way how you talk, in a way how you present things, you can actually drive the decisions and the actions of other people, right?
Yes, and that's why if it is a decision in your business, and perhaps a more important decision, or even any level of decision, it's very good to prepare and know. And we recommend that you do the thinking in 6 different steps.
Okay.
And we could run into these steps.
Okay.
And if we now go into step number 1, I think you need really to sit down and figure out what are we trying to achieve with this decision. And that is formulating the objective for the decision. Let's say that we have a very, very simple objective, that we want to make more profit. And that's very, very, very easy. And of course, that means if we only have profit, that could be one criteria. We say, well, we want to increase profit. And if that is all we need to consider, that's fine. Then we only have one criteria for this decision.
Yes. But
perhaps we also nowadays want to think a little bit about environment.
Yes.
Then we will add environment as another criteria. And that means that you systematically go through this and find out what is really affecting this decision. And you will add this. And this is something we call criteria. This is what you use to evaluate different options you have.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you say, I don't have any options, but you always have the option of doing something or not doing anything. But another good role for decision is to have alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have alternatives, try to find alternatives and other ways of doing things. And that's a step number 1.
Okay.
So
basically what you are saying that in a way you have to frame your issue, right? You have to understand, what is it? Is it something real for me? Is it something that supports my business or supports my life even? Are there any, I don't know, feasible alternatives? So, most of the questions are not, not a question of being dead or alive. It has many
sure, and I mean, most of the time, I think in real life it will be that you have to take a decision, and most of the time you only have one alternative. So it's basically that you end up with, should we do this or should we not do this? And that's why I recommend perhaps you should look for alternatives also, so you can better evaluate that decision.
Okay.
Another trick is if you are the manager and you want to have the decision to go through, you should select a terrible alternative. In that case, it's very easy to get your decision through.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
But that's
okay,
step
number
one.
I'm sorry. So
that's step number one.
Step number one is basically framing what you have, you understanding in all details, right? What is then step number two? How you continue this?
Well, step number two is really you do this sort of reality check. I mean, you need to find out where you stand. Do you need to change? If in that case, you need to have a strategy for change. And you find what can our organization do? What are the possibilities? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're all limited, and we need to find the restraints. And you also should try to determine relationships between casual relationships and so on who could affect that decision. So I call that step number two, reality check.
So this is basically when you match your assumptions and your thoughts and feelings against data, right? Against what you know.
That's correct. That you need to have, and that's why we call that reality check.
Okay. How do you continue? How do you continue? So what is then the next step? Okay, so you have...
sorry. Well, step number three, then really to then go back again and re-evaluate what are the options. You really now need to sit down. What are the possible options, and could I introduce other options and so on, and evaluate them?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that this is basically the stage where you, in a way, think about the stakeholders of a problem, who are concerned, who can act, who will suffer or who will benefit out of this issue, or this is not the stage yet. So this is basically...
It could be a stage where you introduce stakeholders, because there are others. Maybe you don't want to involve others.
Yes, maybe not.
There are people dictators don't like to involve others, but if you want to have others' opinion, this is a time, because then they can also introduce alternatives. They can also give their view on the problem.
Okay.
So that is the stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move on to, now you have a pretty good picture of what the decision is all about, what the alternatives are, and what the criteria are. Then we need to look into, are there any risks in this? And try to assess those risks. What could happen if we go one way or the other? Then that's the step number 4, risk evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this is a tricky thing. Okay, we will come back to it. I have some questions about
you will indeed. Now the next step number 5, that's really that we have now different criterias, and these affect the decision in various ways, but we need also to rank those, what is most important. And to exemplify this in a very simple way, we could say price and quality. We could rank those. What is most important for us? Is it the price, or is it the quality, or are they of equal importance?
Or some other combination of two.
Or any combination.
Yes.
We need to rank this, and this could be a complete hierarchy.
Yes.
As you build up, because if you say environment, for example, that could mean a lot of things. That could be CO2 emissions, and it could go all the way down to all sorts of things. And you need to rank those in order of importance.
But here you can actually, this is the point where some soft issues enter, because quality, okay, there are some definitions of how you describe quality. I don't know, maintenance fee, or I don't know, years of service or whatever. But here we can say that, I think this is a better quality, or well, to me, I like this. I don't know what.
Well, actually, if you are in a procurement requirement, you could only access. I believe that BMW has a higher quality than Skoda.
Mm-hmm. But how? Because
then you can just rank them and rank BMW higher than the Skoda.
Okay, but that's based on your feelings in a way. So you say that this kind of soft and hard inputs have same place, or have place actually in this modeling, right? So you can.
And the great thing here is that you can actually use them in the same model, because actually you also have the price of the BMW and the price of the Skoda.
Yes.
And then you have to compare that and check that against the quality or perceived quality, because it's actually you as a decision maker who decides about the quality.
Yes.
The quality could also, of course, be hard facts, but very rarely there is. But
yes.
So that's assessment of the different criteria. That's what you do, and that is step number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And the last and final step is that once again reassess. Now I have a decision model. Have I forgotten any stakeholders? Do I need to bring in others who can be affected of this decision? Now I have built this decision, and I have a pretty good picture of what the decision is about. I have the alternatives, I have the criteria, and I have also ranked them and everything. Now is the time to rethink. Are other people affected by this? Should I present it to them? Can they give me better feedback about this decision? And as I already have documented all this in the decision, that step is quite easy. And if you need to bring them in, bring them in.
Mm-hmm. So basically this is how you make an iterative process. So basically what you are talking about is an agile decision architecture process, right?
That is correct, and that's what it should be. And as you document every step, it's also important. Now, it frequently happens that when you built all this and you have all your alternatives, you still don't get a distinct decision. Because in the mathematical modeling we have to say that you also test, if you change a parameter in the decision, how robust is that decision? Mm-hmm. If a small change will give you a totally different decision.
So this is where your innovative mathematical approach helps the user to get quick answer, right? Because in the older or previous era where you had to model everything mathematically separately, it could have taken, I don't know, even weeks or months to get everything calculated. And so this is how your mathematical approach is supporting this fast decision making procedures, let it be as complex as it might be.
That is correct, and the modeling will also show you which parameter is the most sensitive, and thereby also telling you where do I need to find more information to get a robust decision.
Okay.
So I think this is also one of the great advantages.
So this whole process does not make me as a decision maker to invent inputs. I can use inputs what I have, and the model will tell me that these inputs are pretty vague, so let's go back and find out more. So this is how the whole process and methodology helps me to learn and to develop, right?
That's absolutely correct. And I think one of the fundamental things that we wanted to do was that any user should not have to make more firm statements than they had at hand. So you should always start this with the information you have at hand, not more. And that was a problem with previous models because it required you to give very specific statements.
And people go nuts because they don't have them.
They don't have them. And we say, don't worry, use what you have at hand. And then you need to approve. And to make a dramatic example, which is not valid, but in order to understand it, if you have no idea of the probability, for example, you could say that the probability of this will happen. If you say it's between 0 to 100%, you know that you're right. But in that case, a model will just tell you, well, you need to find out a bit more, otherwise we cannot calculate this. But you understand this is a step by step. So you input what you have at hand, the system will tell you where you need more information. On the other hand, if there are areas where you don't need more information, don't waste your time trying to find out more.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually quite interesting. If you ask the everyday people, what is the chance of something that would happen or occur? And if they don't know, they say, probably it's 50-50. We don't know.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
But this is, as you say, but this is not correct mathematically. It should be, it's between 0 and 100.
Yes, if you don't know anything, it's between 0 and 100. That's a correct definition of it.
Okay.
But perhaps you can narrow this down and say, well, it doesn't happen every other time. It happens perhaps every 10th year or something like that. So it's 1 out of 10. You understand, you narrow down your range. And this goes for everything. If it is about money, how much money could it cost, a low limit, an upper limit, or a most probable limit. So, and this is what we should work with. Input what the data you have at hand, and then you work yourself to a better decision and you also find out, where do I need to know more?
I know that you have had a chance to prove this concept and to try all these methodologies in very complex situations at the United Nations and European Union cases, right?
That is actually correct. It has been used, and it's actually a UN report out right now, which we could, I guess, provide a link below with risk assessment for the whole world, actually. And there is a lot of discussions there about how to do this, and that is quite interesting to do. We also helped the UN to provide a model for COVID handling. And we were all professionals in COVID handling, and everybody know exactly how to do it. It's not that easy, and not the least China will find that out right now. So yes, we have done a lot of work in this. Our problem is just to get the business to.
Yeah, I mean we have to make people to listen and to understand what is it.
Well, the sixth step is step number 1 is you really frame the problem. What do we want to achieve and what are the criteria for this? Step number 2, you do a sort of reality check. What could actually be achieved? With this, do we need to change a lot or what could we do? Step number 3, you go through again. What are the options really? Could we introduce another alternative and so on? And that's step number 3. Step number 4 is that you assess what also risks is it in here. And step number 3 is now you have also different criteria which will affect the decision. Here you need to rank those of importance. How important is price versus quality, for example. And step number 6, once you now have framed and start to understand the whole decisions, reassess again. Will this affect other stakeholders? Do I need to bring in other stakeholders to give a view on this before I make the decision? These are basically the 6 steps.
All right. Okay. Thank you. We will continue with this risk issue because I think that is very, very exciting topic. Thank you for your attention, guys. Stay tuned. We come back with new videos soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.